Welcome to Hypothetical Questions with the Gray Matters blog. I'm Gray, and this is my new co-host Hatter, who, if you're familiar with Liminal Radio podcast, you'll be familiar with him. He's my co-host over there as well. We're going to be starting kind of a new season here, where we're going to be doing some longer form YouTube videos in addition to the shorter ones that we import over from YouTube, and my new co-host is going to be a big part of that. So, Hatter, are you ready to answer some superhero-related hypothetical questions?
I'm always ready to answer superhero-related hypothetical questions.
So, we're going to start with the premise. All of our three main questions, plus a bonus one, are going to be working off of a similar premise. And here is our premise for today. In the entire world, starting tomorrow, the world is going to be filled with superpowers. One person per major population center is going to get some kind of superpowers. So that means one person per medium to large town is going to have some kind of superpower. Now, it's going to be all over the board. Some are going to be very weak. Some are going to be very strong. Some might be Superman level. Some may barely have a power at all. Some are going to end up using them to become heroes. Some are going to become villains. Some are going to work for the government. And that's all going to start suddenly out of nowhere. So that's the world we're going to be stepping into. Now, we're going to start with our very first hypothetical, which is going into this world, I am offering you the ability to choose what superpower you're going to get. Now, here are the caveats. It is one superpower, not a set of powers. So that means the Force is not on the table because that's really a set of like 5 or 6 powers. Superman's power set is a power set, not a single power, so you couldn't choose that. But you could choose super speed or super strength. Also, anything with the word omni in it is off the table. No omnipotence, no omniscience, no wish magic, no reality manipulation. None of the things that basically equivalent to I can do what I want, because those are boring. You know, it's because then obviously the correct answer is omnipotence, and that's just no fun. So, those being off the table, and the only other caveat here is that it is of a moderate level. So if you had super strength, you would be about as strong as Captain America, not Superman. So we're not talking about Omega level mutant powers here. We're talking about kind of your standard moderate superhero. So, Hatter, what would be your pick for the single superpower you're going into this superpowered world with?
I'm going to go with precognition. Like knowing what somebody's going to do a few seconds before they do it. So this guy's going to shoot me. I step out of the way. It's like, did he just dodge a bullet? They freak out.
See, and I would say with a moderate level, you could even do more than a few seconds. You could actually see, a period of time into the future, maybe even hours, maybe even most of the day, maybe even a whole day. We would have to negotiate exactly what the power level would be, but that would be incredibly useful. Have you ever watched the movie Next?
No.
The entire premise is Nicolas Cage has the power you just mentioned.
Not the
It's,
bees.
there are no bees, so not the bees, not the bees is exactly what he gets. It's actually an interesting power where normally he can only see like a minute into the future, and then he meets this woman that whenever he is in her presence, he can see much further into the future. It's actually a pretty good movie, but is a good example of how you could use that power. And he does a lot of the same things you're talking about, where you can dodge bullets by knowing where the bullets are going to be, all that kind of stuff. So that is a fantastic answer. I am going to give my answer as well. That's going to be one of the big advantages, guys, of these longer form videos. You'll get my answer as well, because normally I don't get to tell you guys what my pick would be, because we're trying to keep it down to that TikTok minute. So my power, if I can only choose one power in this superpowered world, is going to be healing factor, Wolverine style healing factor. Now, of course, it's not going to be to the same level as Wolverine or Deadpool, where you can heal from a bloody mist, but it is going to be where pretty much most standard injuries that can be done to a human body, I'm going to be able to come back from. And I have a very specific reason for picking that power. And it goes back to whenever me and my wife were watching the show Heroes. Did you ever watch the show Heroes, Hatter?
A very long time ago. I have to say, I don't remember it very well.
Well, it was actually very similar in a way to this premise, which is just a whole bunch of people just got powers out of nowhere, and they were just normal average people, and it was actually a pretty good show. And one of the characters is a cheerleader, a high school cheerleader, and she gets the power of regeneration, where she can heal from almost anything, and that becomes the cheerleader power, and other people refer to that as the cheerleader power. And one of the things I always said is that if you were ever given that power, you have to pick her power. You have to pick regeneration, because if you pick anything else, then one day you will be laying on the floor bleeding, wishing you had picked regeneration. No matter how cool your other power is, no matter what other power you pick, you're going to and not maybe, someday you are guaranteed to want to have had that power. And that's why, whether it's through natural causes, whether it's through getting hit by a bus, whether it's through being attacked by an enemy, someday you're going to need regeneration, which is why I always say that's my baseline. Gotta pick it. If I can only have one power, that's my power. So, everyone, let us know in the comments what your one single superpower would be.
Yeah, and I would say, as I said, I wouldn't want to be able to see too far in the future. That's just boring. I would say my maximum would be 10 minutes. 10 minutes is as far as I'd want to go.
You know what? I'll say 30 minutes, the length of a cartoon show.
Works for me.
I think that's I think that's and the thing is, I feel like that's still really interesting because you can see just far enough out that when you kind of come out of your vision to be able to see, pausing, whenever you come out of your vision trance, you have to try to remember everything you saw in that half hour. So that actually adds a challenging element to it because if it's shorter, then it's real easy to remember whatever you saw. The longer it gets, the more it's like, okay, wait, what happened at the very end of this episode?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That does make it more challenging, but I still want it.
I think it's a fantastic choice. Now for our second hypothetical. Again, we're still in the same world where superpowers have just entered our normal modern world. This time you're going to get to choose three powers. And these three, again, it's three individual single powers of the same restriction of power set. But this time, in addition to coming up with what the powers are, I also want you to come up with a character, a persona, and what that person is going to be doing in the world. So if we give you these powers tomorrow, everyone else has powers. What's your costume going to be? What's your gimmick going to be? And how are you going to use these powers?
Mm-hmm. All right, my three powers.
Actually, I want to add one more caveat here, and that's that out of the three powers that you can pick, one of them cannot be the power that you chose previously. So for me, I cannot choose regeneration, and for you, you cannot choose precognition.
I knew you were going to say that, and that's why I chose precognition, because the first one on my list, I don't know how I knew that was going to come up, but I did. The first one on my list, regeneration. Healing factor is my first. My second is going to be, we're going to go with shape-shifting, because then I could fake my death if I need to. Like, someone thinks I'm dead, I take on a new shape. And, they think they killed me, but they didn't.
I do like how those two go really well together because it is logical that a person who can completely reform their body could also regenerate their body. So those are a very logical set.
And the last one I'm going to go with, I think, is superhuman reflexes. Not precognition, but if somebody's coming at me, I'd be able to move quickly. Like, I don't want to be able to run fast. I don't care about that. But I want to be able to react quickly.
Sort of a reactions, agility, response time, that kind of thing. You would also be really good at quick drawing a pistol, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So the persona I'm going to go with is the chameleon. It's kind of obvious. You can change shape. Chameleons, reptiles, I don't know about chameleons specifically, but reptiles are known to be able to regenerate. Like some geckos can regenerate their tails, but geckos don't change color. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the chameleon. I was going to say reptile initially, but that's kind of already been done. You've, of course, played Mortal Kombat. So, yeah, my persona will be the chameleon. And you want to know what I'm doing?
What are you doing?
See, I'm going to be a bit of an anti-hero. I'm going to help people who need it. I'm not going to be like Superman where some rich guy gets robbed and he's like, all right, I have to stop them. I'm going to be like, pfft. But, if I see someone in the street being mugged or robbed, I'll stop it. But for the most part, I'm going to be using these powers for personal gain. I ain't even going to lie about that.
See, I have always had, for one, I love that. I love the whole gimmick. I can even already picture what your suit looks like. I love the idea.
No, my name will be the Karma Chameleon.
I love Karma Chameleon. I dig it. You've got a theme song. I'm here for it.
And he sings it. He sings it when he's doing his work. Karma Chameleon. I love that song so much.
That's awesome. 10 out of 10. I love it. Now, I actually get to give everyone my super. This is the one I've always wanted to do that I've always thought would be super cool. And I already have an entire theme, costume, everything. Because I cannot pick regeneration, I am going to pick invisibility, intangibility, which for anyone who's not familiar, that means the ability to walk through walls and just generally pass through solid objects, and telekinesis. And my name is Poltergeist.
Oh, that's good.
I can be not seen. I can get in anywhere. I can manipulate things around me. I would also say that even with moderate telekinesis, much in the same way that you can push yourself up using your hands, if you have telekinesis, I would say you could probably manage, if not flight, at least a decent hover so I can get around using my telekinesis. If nothing else, I can just invisibly monkey my way by grabbing things above me, kind of like Spider-Man, but invisibly. And I think this whole poltergeist thing would be amazing. I wouldn't actually have a costume because I'm invisible. You know, you can't see me. Be somewhere between an anti-hero and just a general nuisance to specifically to other superpowered individuals. Because you know that as soon as people get superpowers, they are going to be using them for evil. Especially anyone, whether they're claiming to be a hero or not, by the way, they're going to be using them to impose their will on others. People who have invisible and intangible powers like the ones I would have will definitely be using them for some unethical shit. So my thing is just going to be there to remind the heroes that they are not invisible and that there is someone holding them accountable. And of course, there will be a certain amount of personal gain. But at the end of the day, I mean, you just pickpocket a few cartel dudes and you got all the money you're ever going to need. It's just not a problem.
Yeah, I think that's probably why our two characters would get along, because my character outright admits, yeah, personal gain. I try to be a good person, and I will hold the worst people accountable, but, you know, I'll be totally honest. If I need some money, I can go get it.
Have you ever seen the show Blacklist?
No.
It's a really good show. Basically, the idea is that this super master criminal turns himself over to the FBI and then begins you giving them information to allow them to take out other criminals because he has a list of other criminals that he wants taken out, and he's essentially using the FBI to accomplish it. And I bring that up because he's a great example of an anti-hero, or at least just a really cool villain. And at one instance, he has them go after some poachers who are killing black rhinos. And when they ask him, okay, why are these people on your list? And he's like, oh, well, these aren't like the other people on my list. They're not there because, you know, they did me wrong or they owe me money. They're there because they offend me. I don't like them. And so I decided to take them out while I was in the neighborhood. That would definitely be a big part of my vibe as Poltergeist.
Yeah, you know, I think a part of my character's philosophy would be like Deadpool in the first movie. When the girl says, "You're my hero," he says, "I'm not a hero. I'm just a bad guy who takes out worse guys." I think that would be my character's philosophy. I'm out to gain, but I'm going to take out some people worse than me in the process.
I dig it. You've got a little bit of Catwoman, a little bit of Deadpool, a little bit of Punisher. I really like the whole mishmashed vibe.
Yes, I like Punisher.
Now, for our third hypothetical. Now, we're in the same world where people are going to be getting superpowers, but in this instance, we have no powers. We are just perfectly normal people.
Boring.
However, you are going to, through whatever means, be able to craft your own set of power armor. And it's going to have a certain capabilities. We're going to limit it to 3 of them. I'm going to give you a rather lengthy list, and you get to pick which ones of these you're going to add to your super suit. So here are some of our options, beginning with super speed,
One sec,
super
one sec,
strength.
one sec. Let me get a pen and paper here that'll make this much easier for me. I can't find the small notebook I had, so here's my giant thing where I keep tax documents.
We'll edit this into one funny montage.
So now we have my tome.
Let me know when you're ready to receive your list of possible suit modules.
Go right ahead.
First is super strength, super speed, super resiliency, and specifically the resiliency, if you do not choose resiliency, then it will be roughly the equivalent to wearing full plate armor. This is going to provide you some resiliency no matter what you do. This will provide you resiliency above that. And all 3 of these are going to be at sort of a moderate level. Again, kind of the same place we were talking about. Strength is going to be a Captain America kind of strength. Speed is not Flash, but it is very fast. So we're going to have kind of moderate levels of those 3.
And there's my notebook now.
Another one is going to be flight. invisibility, intangibility, a superpower nullification field that extends about 20 feet out from you, and any superpowers cannot be activated within this field. However, that does also apply to any other powers of your suit. So if you choose this, you can still choose 2 more powers for your suit, but when it's on, your other powers are off. So this is basically an anti-superpower field.
I already crossed it out. Go ahead.
The next option is going to be some sort of attack. So this might be an energy attack like a laser or some kind of plasma cannon. It might be a rocket launcher, but it's going to be of a moderate level. So that basically means that this attack is going to be able to affect someone who has moderate resiliency, kind of in the way of which a normal attack would affect a normal person. So bear that in mind, because a lot of the other people out there who are now superpowered very well may have minor to moderate super resilience, so this will allow you to still be able to threaten them. Another module you can choose from is telekinesis, that will allow you to manipulate things at a distance. We're also going to include a mind reading module that will allow you kind of the psychic ability to read people's minds.
Okay, I have the list. I already crossed off the null field because I can see where that might be useful. Because if you're in power armor and you're already pretty resilient, you have plate armor, and you completely depower a superhero, they're still probably more fit than I am anyway. So it would just be a matter of bringing them down to human level. But when it comes to human levels of fitness, for example, they're probably going to be here while I'm here. So yeah, I have the armor, but that doesn't mean I can grab them and take them down and stomp their heads in. So I took that off the list. So I'm going to go with something really disappointingly basic: strength, resilience, and flight. Very simple. Very simple. I beat them up. I can take a strong hit, and I can fly.
See, and I think that while that is incredibly basic, that is just fantastic basic set power armor. That for a power armor that can give you that, that's going to bring you up to punching level with most superheroes you're going to encounter in this new world. So while you may not be absolute A tier, you're going to be a threat to everybody.
You also never said that I couldn't, for example, pick up a heavy machine gun while using my power armor.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, you having super strength would absolutely make it even more likely that you could pick up a Maudus, shoulder it, and just lay havoc to everything around you.
Exactly. See, so you have options if you pick the basic numbers. Grab that big machine gun, grab a rocket launcher. You might. A howitzer is fired remotely, right? Or is it fired by a switch? How is a howitzer fired?
Well, a true howitzer, the heavy artillery, is literally fired by a guy pressing a button on the actual thing, because a howitzer is World War II level artillery. So I mean, yeah, you could theoretically pick one of those up. Although, even with well, I would say probably with the moderate level of super strength, you might not could just pick it up and fire it, but you could pick it up, carry it around, set it down, and fire it at least.
Yeah. See, you have options. And that's what I want. I want options.
See, and I think that's a fantastic choice. Me, I'm going kind of dedicated. I'm picking resilience because I want to be able to take a hit. Because I've already revealed my prejudice to always be able to either heal or take damage or just generally not get hurt. I'm a very big fan of that. I would like to keep my face in the facial region. I would like for it not to go anywhere else. I want it to remain in the facial region.
Same.
And so I'm going to pick the resiliency, so my suit is going to be very tough. Second, I'm picking super speed to be as fast as possible. And third, I'm picking flight. My entire idea is no matter what villain or hero I'm facing, I'm just going to launch my face at their face and trust that I can take more damage than they are. So I'm just going to be a living bullet. I'm just going to launch at them as fast as I can, kind of like a peregrine falcon, which, by the way, anyone who may not be familiar with, peregrine falcons are one of the most badass animals in the world because they are a theropod dinosaur. And yes, by scientific taxonomical clarification, they are specifically a theropod dinosaur that is the fastest moving living object that punches things to death. Because when a peregrine falcon attacks something, it does not attack with its claws out like this. It curls them into fists and hits them. Falcon Punch is a real thing.
That's fantastic. I was going to say your character name, if you're using power armor, should be Kamikaze, but the Peregrine Falcon, the Peregrine works too.
Actually, I really like Peregrine. I'm definitely keeping that. That's going to be my superhero name. So, guys, let us know in the comments. One, I forgot to tell you, I forgot to remind you, but of course, for your 3 powers, let us know what your 3 powers are and what your superhero concept would be. And for this one, let us know how you would outfit your power armor and what would it look like? What would be the general vibe you would give? Now, kind of for our grand finale, I have a very special question. This one's special because it is so unique to each individual person. And here's this power. What power could I give you that would be the worst possible power I could give you personally? Not that it's not a good power. The whole point of this is it has to itself be a really cool power, but because of your own personality, your own flaws and quirks and things like that, that it would just be a nightmare for you specifically. Anyone else might really like it, but you would hate it. So, Hatter, what would you say is the worst power I could possibly give you personally?
You know, this question has been presented to me before, and the worst power for me by far is going to be mind reading, because as of now, whenever somebody says something stupid, it's taking every bit of restraint I have to not pop them in the nose and say, go back to 3rd grade. If I could read their minds, I'm going to jail. I'm going to prison if I can read their minds. That's all I'm going to say.
You would just walk around randomly punching people in the face, and they would just look so hurt, like, what did I do? And you're like, you know what you did.
You know what you were just thinking. What's something really stupid that people say? I'm trying to think of something. Because you believe in that thing that people say on the internet.
So what you're saying is you would just go around punching flat earthers?
There you go. That would be it. That would be it.
Sharon has one.
That thing they talk about that you can't help a fallen baby bird or touch it because then the mother won't come back to it, won't want to be with it anymore. That is blatantly false and gets birds killed.
Yep.
That's absolutely true.
So I do pop someone in the face because you let the baby bird die.
You could have saved him.
And then I would be arrested.
Yep. What's really funny is for me specifically, Sharon actually issued me my completely hated superpower because she knows that I do not have a lot of patience with technology, especially when it doesn't function right. So the power I was given is Tony Stark, almost technomancy levels of being able to build all these really cool things and have power armor and have a death ray and have like a supercomputer that can do all this stuff. But that it never really works quite right. In order to get into any of my tech, I have to have these really long strings of password that I can't write down anywhere, and I just have to memorize them. My death ray can, incinerate entire buildings, but it has a charger that you have to wiggle just right in order to get it to charge it and hold it in place with a paper clip. And sometimes when you think it was charging all night, it wasn't really charging all night, and your supercomputer always has to update right when you want to use it. This would be a nightmare for me. I would hate this. This would be the worst superpower in the world.
The Bluetooth keeps shutting off.
I keep not being able to see or hear in my power armor because the Bluetooth keeps blinking out on me.
Yeah, no, that would bother me too. I don't know if it would bother me as much as hearing people's like dumb ideas that they have, but it would bother me.
Now, I will say I had another friend that we also did this hypothetical with because, in case anyone's not familiar, this is just what life with me is like. I just bombard people with hypothetical questions. That's why I started doing it. We didn't start this for the channel. I started doing this on the channel because I do it anyway. And I was asking one of my friends, and and I told him I had one for him because now I have the ADHD pretty bad, but I'm actually, as a result, very organized because I have to be. He has the ADHD really bad, my friend, and he is not organized at all. He is terribly unorganized and has a hard time getting his shit together. So I told him the power I would give him would be Doctor Strange like magic, kind of sorcery kind of thing, but in order to use it, like all his special magical equipment has to be properly maintained and cared for. He has to keep these various rituals that he has to do on time and remember to do them every day. He has to keep meticulously clean workspaces so that the demons don't get out. And whenever I was telling him all these different powers, he looked at me and said, then why they even give me powers, man? That would be terrible. So I love the concept of what would be a uniquely horrible power for you. So guys, let me know in the comments for sure on this one. This is the one I'm the most interested in hearing from you guys on. What is a power that you personally would hate? Are you afraid of fire? So Human Torch stuff actually being lit on fire, even though you're immune to it, sounds terrible. Are you an arachnophobe? So the idea of being a spider controlling superhero is terrifying. Are you afraid of clowns and so you only have superpowers when you are wearing full clown attire? Let me know what. I know, right? Wouldn't that be terrible?
I'm sorry, I just have that image in my mind. Time to suit up. And then he's a clown.
No, no, even better. Time to suit up. Puts on wig, starts angrily applying white face.
Is that a very detailed image of how that would go in my mind? And that's gonna... What's the opposite of haunt? That will bring me joy for years. Thank you.
So, everyone, that brings us to the close of our very first episode of this new season. I would like to thank Hatter for joining us. I think he was awesome. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed having him, guys. Having him here, guys. I think that this actually made the entire thing a lot higher energy and a lot more fun. Also, make sure that you're following us everywhere. We'll be sure to link the link tree below. Follow us on TikTok, all that sort of thing. And thank you for joining us on Hypothetical Questions with The Gray Matters blog. And let us know the answers that you came up with to all our hypothetical questions.
And subscribe to the Save Awesome channel, too.